This week on Erotic Awakening, Retrospective, and more.
Welcome to Erotic Awakening, an exploration of all things erotic. If you are offended by adult topics or prohibited by law, we recommend you stop listening right now.
We want to thank our latest patron supporters, K.S. Moon,
Paralover,
and Kate S.
Thanks so much. Your support keeps us going.
Head over to patreon.com/Erotic Awakening today and get your bonus content and support the show.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dawn.
Whew, it's been a few weeks.
It has been a few weeks, and we were poking around looking for topics and ended up with, instead of a topic directly at the front of the show, we may come up with one. The short version is we're looking through some of our catalog of topics we've already done.
720 some shows.
And we started conversations about that. And I said, well, heck, let's start recording this because some of these conversations are pretty interesting.
Yeah, we're just looking for old shows that maybe we can use that topic because we have difference of opinion now over the years. And yeah.
And just some of the reflections of what those shows were about. And it may well be that one of these turns into a topic that we are going to talk about. But we decided, let's just freestyle and improv and see what happens.
Ooh, improv. You know, we should talk about that. You're doing a lot with improv now.
I am.
So that is kind of fun. Okay, so what we did was we went to eroticawakening.com. We clicked the podcast tab or the podcast option. It shows a couple of podcasts. Scroll all the way to the bottom and click see more, read more, see the archive. It says something like that. And then there's a search bar. And then we started typing in podcast numbers like 072. And I hit search. And what comes up for 072? Oh, Leather Heart came up. That was kind of neat.
Yeah, so Leatherheart was an organization. Oh my gosh, I barely remember what it was about. I don't know.
They're still around. They were a nonprofit, and I can remember actually calling them when they helped people in the community. And when we had someone pass in Columbus, but I was on vacation, you were on vacation with a poly partner, we couldn't help out in this situation of someone passing with no notice. And the person called me and they're all stressed out and they don't know what to do. And they were out of money. They couldn't do these things. And I'm like, here's a contact information for Leather Heart. If nothing else, they can maybe help you out. So it was a resource to send people to. I would actually love to hear if they are still around. Absolutely.
It's funny because the first, as I Google in the background to find out if this Leather Heart thing still exists, one of the things that struck me as we went through the archives is the number of people that are on our show that we wouldn't necessarily recommend to have on our show anymore. In that,
did they let their leadership go to their head?
Possibly let their leadership go to their head. But it's interesting to see people who you think you know pretty well, and then you find out that they have a particular view or a particular opinion and realize, wow, that really doesn't reflect what I would want to have on our podcast. And these are not just random Joe people. Some of them are, of course, but some of the people are like leather title holders who suddenly come out with a particular view that's, boy, like that doesn't feel like a leather title thing at all.
Right. So, which is kind of neat. Okay. Kind of neat, but some of these shows we're looking at are like 10 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. So when we did interview them, they were still in good standing with the community and things happen, right? Okay, so, this is kind of neat. So Leather Heart, back to Leather Heart. The show that I was looking at for Leather Heart was number 72, which is back from 2010. So now looking to see if they still exist, I found an Instagram for them. I didn't find a website, but I'm also scrolling really fast, right, so that we don't stick on this. But Leather Heart Foundation does have an Instagram. It's leatherheart.org. And it says national organization that provides financial assistance to members of our leather and kink communities. It is based in South Carolina.
How recent have they posted anything?
Good question. How do I find that out? Like this, maybe? Oh, a long time ago. This one is from this last post on Instagram is from 21. So
Oh,
4 years ago. It's still after COVID, but COVID started, but that is the most recent. So sorry, guys. You're going to have to do your own research on that one. I don't know if it's still around. If anybody knows, please let us know. That's a great resource. I mean, with your new nonprofit that's starting up, this could be something that we interact with, right?
Yep. So here's an episode 378. I'm going to tell you what the title is. You tell me what the topic is.
No, because you used to make up these funny titles, and I wouldn't know what the topic is.
Well,
Okay,
this one
I'm
is
listening.
Eating at the Y.
Well, eating at the V, I could see. Eating at the Y.
Well,
Is it oral sex?
yes, it is about cunnilingus.
Yay.
Also, though, really interesting, we have a conversation on that same episode about Asperger's and a title Leather Master about his struggles with Asperger's and how it affects him being in the scene and being a leader. So that was pretty interesting.
We interviewed Leathermaster? Oh my gosh, I would love to go through these
No,
episodes.
This is a Leather Master, not the person named Leather Master.
Oh, got it, got it. So, I know who that would be too, because he's very vocal. He came and taught at PXS on that same topic. So neat. Yeah, I'd actually like to go through here and see all the people that we've interviewed. And I have the thumb drive on my desk in the other room where I need to start downloading these onto the thumb drive for the Leather Archives because they want a copy. Wait, my turn. Oh my gosh. So I typed in episode 222, but we must have used that number a lot in a lot of things. Oh, because it came back with like 20 episodes. So let's see. I typed in 222, but episode 094 came back from 2010, which was where we interviewed a boot black. 154, episode 154, which is Lee Harrington, because Lee hosted some of our shows
Way back.
for a little while. That's from 2011, so that's Lee Harrington. Oh my gosh. Actual episode 222, we were talking about a fetish list. 100 BDSM fetish list. And we were talking about uniforms and verbal humiliation, gags, blindfolds, videotaped scenes, that sort of stuff.
Boy, we did that fetish list for many. We've done many of them.
And you know what? That was 2012. So I think we were still learning some of our fetishes. I think that's part of what made it fun was to learn from each other what we liked and didn't like.
A funny one, EA374. The title is This Is Not W.
What?
And there's no description. I have no clue what this episode was about.
What is that? 374.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is not W.
So when I edit this episode, I'll go back to that episode and listen to it a little bit and see what it is.
Okay.
So maybe we'll have some answers there. What else do you have? Oh my God. See, I can get lost. The thing is that looking in these archives, I can get lost as to the things that we talked about. We've got episode 545 was a balloon fetish where we talked to the balloon guy. That was kind of neat. That's from 2020. So, wow. What else you got?
It's funny because in episode 436 is called Squirty Dawn and the Next Generation. Dawn tries a new toy and gets new results.
So that was the clit sucker. How long ago was that?
That was back on 2017.
So 2017, I was sitting in my office at the Columbus Space. One of the stores that we had interviewed had sent me a product, and it was a clit sucker. I forget what the actual name was. And I was sitting in my office, tried the clit sucker, and squirted just a little bit for the very first time. And we had interviewed people on squirting. We've read manuals. Dan was able to do it with other people. No one was able to do it with me. And then I did this toy and had this little itty bitty squirt. And I'm like, oh, I'm a squirter. And recently, maybe we should do a whole show.
We should do a show on squirting because we've learned new things.
Changed.
Yes, indeed.
All right, what else you got? Because I am scrolling through here and getting lost.
Super interesting. Back on episode 435, the topic was jealousy and sex toys, but there's a line here that's Pittsburgh was awesome, and Dan wavers about things going in his bum. Well,
we should probably listen to that again.
that was back 7 years ago, and I'm still wavering, I think. I'm still not quite sure if I want things going in me bum.
And this is kind of cool, too. Your partner in Chicago actually sent us a huge list of different topics that we could go over. And I was looking through a lot of them, and I was going, oh, we've done that. Oh, we've done that. Oh, we've done that. I just typed in 444. But what came back was 444 and a couple of others. And this one is episode 629. One of the topics that was on that list was envy versus jealousy. So we definitely talked about that on episode 629. And then on 444, which is the random number I typed in, we talked about flesh hooks and edge walkers. And I had wanted to join Edge Walkers, but that's another one of those groups that was great, great, great. And then things happened, there was a lot of drama. So I didn't get to join that. But we're going to be doing Flesh Hooks again in August. So, or at least I am. I don't know if you've decided if you're going to do it or not. You've done it before and said you were not going to do it again. But this is an opportunity. I am.
I don't think that I am going to, but you never know. You never know.
That would be fun.
Another interesting one to me, at least, is back in December of 2013, we interviewed a cam girl. She was a cam model, and I was just super curious. So here it is, 12 years later, and I found her Instagram account, and she mainly does glittery fingernails now.
Huh.
It's glitter fingernails. So that's kind of interesting. Oh, and then we've got a picture of you with your kid. So I don't know, cam model girl, or somebody's kid anyway. But anyway, now she's mainly doing fingernails, which
people change.
People change. Yeah,
that is for sure. That is for sure. And I know we're only going to do this for a few minutes because you have a hypnosis appointment with somebody.
I do.
So we need to get rolling. But I typed in 269. And we have, and like I said, not just 269 comes back, anything that has that in the show notes. So I come back with all these interesting things. 24, so just last year, was episode 687, Shame, Get Off My Lawn, and More Thoughts on Cutting. So we did that. And someone actually wants me to interview Lee Harrington, who we are going to see at Scissortail. I may get up with Lee to see if I can talk about that because he teaches a class about self-harm and kink and the difference. And I've had someone actually ask me if I can interview Lee. So we may do that. But Shame, Get Off My Lawn, and More Thoughts on Cutting. And then 462 came up, which is Connected Scenes, Old People Polyamory, and Vivid Sex Dreams. You've been having some vivid dreams lately. I don't know that there's sex dreams.
They're vivid.
And then episode 269, which is the one that I was looking for. This is when there was BSing with Bathsheba and Barrick. So they did once a month or something like that. We used to have the Erotic Awakening Network and did that. And then episode 114 is Lee interviewing a naughty boy.
Oh, okay.
Knotty.
Right,
naughty.
One of the naughty boys. Yep,
one of the naughty boys. So that is really cool. You got anything else interesting?
Just this last one that just struck me as interesting was back on 2010. We interviewed Karen from Poly Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
As well, and Julia as well. And Karen was talking about Spanksgiving and the Legend of Julia's Closet, and Hookables, a snack treat for hookers. I don't know what the hell we were recording back then.
Oh my gosh, that makes me want to go back and listen. But if we went back and listened for one episode a week, now, of course, we haven't done every week. I mean, we just skipped a couple of weeks, right, while we're trying to get situated here in Yuma and traveling. And my birthday weekend and all the things. But if we listen to one episode a week We've been doing this for 16 years. With counting the weeks that we've skipped, it would probably take us 14 and a half years to listen to all the episodes.
No, we're not doing that. So there you go. There's just a little retrospective. We do have some wonderful interviews coming up. There's things that have not been lined up yet. So we're going to have some fresh content for you coming up in the next week. Between now and then, though, you could complain about our lack of topics to us in person by going to events such as EV in Phoenix.
Indeed. Scissortail Leather Conference in Tulsa is coming up in just a couple of weeks.
Midwest Kink Leather
Alliance, I think,
in Kansas City in September.
Absolutely. That's going to be fun. And we need to add to here, we have Naughty Revival in December in Minnesota again. So, yay. Keep up with all our events, book news and discounts, and more via the Erotic Awakening newsletter.
And get your EA shout out like Molly in New York,
Colleen in Ohio,
and
Alejandro. So head over to eroticawakening.com and subscribe today. You know, I actually wanted to mention a little bit about this newsletter in that I'm going to be adding more guided meditations to my monthly lineup of Zoom classes. So if you get on the newsletter, you're going to see all the Zoom classes, all the guided meditations, where we're going to be teaching, like I said, all of that stuff. And I'll have a new one coming out in a couple of days. So yay.
Okay. Fantastic.
Adding Naughty Revival, Tentacles. Thank you, Johnny Jackhammer. So I got an ink drawing of a tentacle monster wrapped around a girl. It was kind of hot. So, yeah, I still get those every now and then.
Great.
I still get pictures. People will text me and go, I saw this tentacle and thought of you. That's just so cool.
They're out there.
They are.
And instead of the long ending, hey, come be a part of the community. Join us on Patreon. Rate us on Apple iPod. Bye, Dan.
Wow. Bye, Dan. Bye, Dan.
Bye, Dawn.
That music is going to end up going on and on when I add it to the end.